Look, I'll tell you what, I'll call it when I see it. And I think this, in one part, is a way better figure. It's not great. A way better figure than some people had expected. And you got the figure at the bottom there. That's dull. I mean, it's what expected. Up 0.3%. It's a bit, as the technical term is, ishmish. You know, I mean, come on, we're up 0.3% quarter on quarter. The preliminary was up 0.3% quarter on quarter for the second quarter. Final GDP out of the United Kingdom. Some of you just listened to this. I should tell you what figure I'm looking at. Second quarter final GDP. Why am I looking at this? Because the pressure is on that lady we had in the headlines. No, not Whittaker. I'm talking about Rachel Reeves. But one figure I think is way better, if this is accurate, and I think it is that UK business investment was only, all right, it's not great, is it? Only down 1.1%. The previous estimate was for negative 4%. So I'm going to call it. That is a better figure than expected. The second quarter business investment on the year up 3%. Every decent figure that Rachel Reeves gets will be a shot in the arm. This is small fare. There are so many other problems the lady has. There are so many problems that the government has in delivering for Great Britain. They're not the only ones, by the way. I'm not picking on the UK government. But the fact of the matter is the growth agenda that this government got booked in, that got brought into Parliament into a tide of power, where it hasn't really happened. Yeah. There's been lots of questions about Rachel Reeves. This figure is a slight bit of solace for a lady who could be getting private estimates from the OBR at the moment, which is downgrading our productivity and upgrading the amount of money she needs to meet her fiscal rules.
I think you don't have to look any further than the job creation environment that we are struggling to create jobs here in the UK. And I think Rachel Reeves is going to try to make the case that all of this investment coming from U.S. companies that came through, announced just in the last couple of weeks, is going to significantly improve the growth picture. But whether that's actually going to transpire, whether that's actually going to convince the UK's fiscal watchdog that it's going to change the growth picture remains to be seen. Clearly, she's under huge pressure. Speculation is mounting that she's going to have to go back on the Labour Party's pledge to raise raise taxes in November.
Let me just follow up. And the data of I think you're alluding to the last 24 hours, that there is a slump in jobs vacancies. And that is, we look at the jolts all the time in the United States, and it's the same thing here in the UK as well. If there aren't a pool of vacancies, then that is a very worrying sign. And I have to say, if you've been watching this channel, you'd have seen James Reed of Reed Consultancy, Reed Recruitment as well, saying exactly that point. He's calling it a jobs drought, which is incredibly worrying. Anyway, let's move on.
Well, Keir Starmer is going to use his speech today at the Labour Party's conference to say Britain is at a fork in the road and must choose between decency and division. The Prime Minister is expected to warn of decisions that are, quote, not cost-free or easy, and describe what he calls the path of renewal as difficult and long. Chancellor Rachel Reeves used her conference speech to warn of more difficult choices in November's budget, saying the party must remain committed to fiscal discipline.
There are still people who peddle the idea that we could just abandon economic responsibility and cast off any constraints on spending. They are wrong. Dangerously so. There is nothing progressive, nothing Labour, about government using £1 in every £10 of public money it spends on financing debt interest. Billions of pounds every single year going towards repaying debt racked up by the Tories, paid to overseas hedge funds and investors. That's not how I want to spend public money. In the months ahead, we will face further tests, with the choices to come made all the harder by harsh global headwinds and the long-term damage done to our country, which is becoming ever clearer.
Ritika, I think for the business community that's watching this program, the key question for the Chancellor is what she delivers on the tax front come November 26. Speculation seems to be mounting that she's going to have no choice but to go back on the Labour Party's pledges not to raise taxes. What are the rumblings you're hearing, and flesh out for us what the Chancellor said in her speech yesterday?
Yes, Juliana, that has certainly been what has grabbed the headlines, this speculation of tax rises in the autumn budget and whether the Labour Party is going to have to break its manifesto pledge and raise some of those taxes on working people, from the income tax to VAT. And we didn't get 100% clarity on that. Rachel Reeves gave her long-awaited speech. There were few details on where the axe might fall when it came to taxes, but we know that she is facing a potential black black hole. I've heard estimates of anywhere from £20 billion to even £50 billion, and the OBR will be giving their assessment, we know, on that on Friday. Earlier I did speak to Darren Jones, the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, and Pat McFadden, the Work and Pension Secretary. This is what they had to say in reaction to her speech. Take a listen.
It showed the same steel, the same courage that's characterised Rachel's time as Chancellor, dealing with the dire economic and fiscal inheritance we had, the need to get our economy back onto a firmer footing. But it also showed real vision, optimism and hope. And it spelled out very clearly whose side the Labour Party is on. And, you know, one of the challenges we've got in this country at the moment is the level of cynicism and the belief that politicians are all the same, we're all the same. And, you know, she just set out all of the choices we are making that a Conservative government would never make.
I thought she was superb. It's a really powerful message from the Chancellor. It's not just her message, it's a message for the whole government about the priorities that we have, the decisions we're taking, and perhaps most importantly, who we have in mind when we take those decisions, whether it's the person waiting for NHS treatment, the young unemployed person who hasn't got a job, or the person working in British industry in critical sectors like steel or automotive, where we've stepped in to support British manufacturing.
But what about the threat from Reform UK? We heard Chancellor mentioning that in a speech.
Yeah, look, we have to face up to that. I was a campaign coordinator at the last election, and I said within days of it, we would be facing a different opponent on the right next time. I think what it really comes down to is a fight between opportunity and grievance, and I'm very happy to stand on the side of opportunity rather than grievance.
I thought that was a brilliant speech, talking about the renewal of Britain, building on all of the brilliant work we've done in our first year in government.
Do you think the business community believes it? Do you think they're assured?
Yeah, investment in public infrastructure, in R&D, helping people to get onto the skills, out of unemployment as young people. I think all of that is exactly what the labour market needs.
So let's fast forward to today, because it is day 3 of the Labour Party conference here in Liverpool, and it is now the Prime Minister Keir Starmer's turn to take the mic, and he's expected to say that Britain lies at the fork of the road between renewal or decline, and we know Renew Britain is a new slogan for them as well, but it is a tough backdrop for him going into it. I mean, there was one poll showing that he's actually the least popular Prime Minister on record. We know he has a potential leadership challenge from the Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. There was a YouGov poll that actually said that 2/3 of Labour members would back Burnham over Keir Starmer as the Labour leader. So Starmer needs to convince his party that he is indeed the man for the job, all the while fending off the threat from Reform UK, because Keir Starmer might be the Prime Minister in this party conference, but who knows about the next one.